This video is going to be my reaction to the Ravens' 41-31 win over the Bucs in Tampa Bay on Monday Night Football. A frustrating, confusing, sometimes fun game to watch for us. We scored 41 points, put up over 500 yards of offense. I think averaged 9.4 yards per play, so we should be happy. There's just so many difficult situations to describe with our defense. I will try to avoid it generally in this reaction video, to be honest with you. I typed up part of my reaction with about 2 minutes left before Chris Godwin got hurt, unfortunately. If you had done a record stop at 10-0, meaning we're down 10-0, with the Bucs nearly up 2 touchdowns, in fact, Mike Evans drop in the end zone when he's challenged by Brandon Stevens, and you said, was 41-31 a possibility? I'll be honest with you, my reaction would have been, how do we hold them to 41 points? Yes, Mike Evans going out did hurt the Bucs, but the reality is their defense, there were early indicators through 3 possessions that they just couldn't match up. Even their best cover guy, Zion McCollum, couldn't match up, let alone a guy who's a supposed all-pro like Antoine Winfield. 2 really big coverage mistakes on his part, if you ask me. 508 yards of offense. Henry finishes with 169 on the ground, and he wasn't even utilized much in the first half. There were moments in the first half where I remember thinking, why aren't we running the football? Eerily similar to our last visit to Tampa Bay in so many ways. Of course, he busts an 81-yarder and then a 39-yarder in the second half to reveal like just how ridiculously talented this offense is. Somehow our defense got 5 stops in a row after falling behind early. We really looked bad on the opening 3 possessions. Fortunately, Humphrey gets an interception in the end zone that on a ball where, I don't know who's supposed to be guarding McMillan in the back right corner. Perhaps it was zone. I only saw like a replay of a portion of the field where Humphrey was involved, but 2 brilliant plays that really switched the momentum. Those interceptions by Marlon Humphrey. And then Lamar Jackson he just took over the game tonight. He was unreal. The only caveat to that would be the 3 RPOs we ran. Whatever the Bucs did to identify some of our formations and when our RPOs were coming, they did a great job. Because, and now look, Lamar still created yards, I think, on 2 of them. But we just could not get anything done, either on the give or the keep and then a potential pass. The Bucs were prepared for specific formations and plays, and still we absolutely shredded their defense. I thought the backwards pass in the fourth quarter was a terrible play call on the part of Todd Monken. Otherwise, look at what he's producing on offense. We're the number 1 offense in the league. I don't care what scoring says or whatever. We have the 2 best players on offense in the league right now, 2 guys right at the forefront of the MVP conversation. Lamar finished 17 of 22 passing, 5 touchdowns. You're basically talking about a touchdown pass almost every 4 passes. Really incredible. He's aligned or hooked up with Bateman well. It is a blessing to have a different guy perform like this every week. And when I say like this, I mean a Bateman, a Flowers, a Likely. Bateman went off tonight. 4 catches, 121 yards, huge third down catch in the fourth quarter. That touchdown when he beat Zion McCollum on a deep route, I have no idea what Antoine Winfield is doing at all. I think he's just freelancing, but in any case, Bateman wins deep. Even if Winfield plays it deep, there's going to be an opportunity for him to catch the football because it's so well thrown by Lamar. Just a beautiful pass, 48-yard touchdown. That one puts us up 27-10. It was Lamar's 4th touchdown pass of the night. Then his second to Andrews was, I think, late in the third quarter, maybe 3 minutes left in the third quarter. Actually came on a 4th and 3 to put us up 34-10. At that point, I don't know about you, I was questioning. I was like, why are we going for this on 4th and 3? Maybe the Ravens coaching staff knew something we didn't. Although we watched it. Our defense is quite possibly one of the worst in the NFL at times. I know we're really good at stopping the run. Maybe John Harbaugh knew we were going to need points. I'm half joking, really, half joking. Because the reality is, if we wanted to keep scoring in the fourth quarter, we could have. If we wanted to try to score touchdowns on every possession, we probably could have tonight. The matchup was that heavily weighted in our favor. Instead, that really ridiculous swing pass call to Zay Flowers. I don't get it. The only justification I can think is Zay Flowers hasn't had many touches tonight. It seemed to me to be an example of Monken trying to create a touch for a guy for whatever reason. From our own 41-yard line, me personally, the mentality that I have about football, run the ball with a 24-point lead, punt, make them go 75 yards. But that might be the problem at this point because we know how our defense plays. I'm not going to go too deep into the defense tonight. It's a win on the road against a tough-minded physical team. I thought they went after Lamar 3 or 4 times high. Thought they went low on Derrick Henry multiple times. To me, they were playing physical, almost to the point of they were. I don't want to use the word target because that word targeting has a specific connotation in the NFL, but it seemed to me like the Bucs were hell-bent on hitting Lamar and Derrick Henry as hard as they could. We waited until the second half to unleash Derrick Henry for whatever reason. Again, reminiscent of that game in Tampa Bay 2 years ago where Tom Brady's still playing, and I think we threw 25 or 26 passes in the first half, trailing 10-3, and then blow them out in the second half with a physical, rugged running game. I think we finished with like 230 on the ground in a game where they tried to onside kick twice in the second quarter. In the second half, we were fortunate to be able to recover it. They also got a garbage touchdown. Just so many markers that were similar to this game. It's kind of crazy. I almost wonder if John Harbaugh suspects that the Bucs defenses are not in great condition or maybe don't have a ton of depth. Maybe it's possible. I don't know this to be true. Todd Bowles doesn't rotate a lot of guys. And so Harbaugh's perspective, the last 2 times we've gone to Tampa Bay, is let's make them see a lot of plays in the first half. The only difference is we were gouging them in the first half on Monday night. The offensive talent is just too immense to match up with for most defenses. Lamar hit 8 different receivers for a catch tonight. It's a spread offense. 9.4 yards per play. Our 500 yards of offense came on 54 plays. Monken deserves a ton of credit. I will be very critical of that particular play call in the fourth quarter, but look, he's got tremendous talent at his disposal in Lamar and Derrick Henry, or receivers and tight ends. I want you to think about this, and maybe this has been mentioned already by other people you've listened to. At this point in the season, we're 7 games in, Derrick Henry is 127 yards from 1,000 for the year. Go ahead and please go check it. I might have done my math wrong. I don't understand how people didn't immediately recognize, not Ravens fans, but others across the NFL analyst spectrum, that Derrick Henry was the best free agent signing from the 2024 offseason. We said that in comment sections in my videos. I said that. I can't fathom how people didn't recognize it immediately. He balances us out. He can turn innocuous looking runs into the boundary into 80 or 90 yard gains. At this point, it's shocking. He's averaging 6.2 yards per carry in 2024. And his touchdown reception tonight, we thought ended it at 41-18, but then we had to sit through a very weird dynamic with the Bucs passing fest and something even more ridiculous for me than the dynamic kickoff, which I have been against and explained that my strategy, or what I thought people would do, which has turned out to be true, that most often teams are just going to kick it in the end zone and make you take the ball out from the negative 30. Did you know, you probably did, that when the Bucs were down 41-31 with the football, after a few, I guess, garbage time touchdowns, they wouldn't have been able to onside kick it again if they'd score in the final minute. Let's say that they had been able to get a fortunate or a lucky touchdown with 30 seconds left or 20 seconds left. They would have been prohibited from onside kicking. I guess that makes sense why Harbaugh and the coaching staff took Lamar and Henry out a little bit after the 2-minute warning, even though the Bucs had 3 timeouts left. We're ahead 41-31. We do the 3 handoffs to Justice Hill. The Bucs literally could not onside kick again according to the new rules. Pure insanity, if you ask me. I understand you may have a different opinion. There are a lot of people who just blindly accept new things, and the dynamic kickoff was one of them, obviously. And this is a second one. Imagine a playoff game ends like that. Imagine a playoff game or a Super Bowl ends like that. 30 seconds left. A team has already onside kicked twice, and they're prohibited from doing so again. Never before has that been a rule in football. I'll be honest with you, the sadistic side of me hopes that it happens in the playoffs. Obviously not to the Ravens. One thing I want to display here on a positive note, which means I'll be talking about our offense, is even though we didn't score on our first possession, these are some of the big plays. Hopefully that font isn't too small. Forgive me if it is. On our first 3 possessions, we ran 16 offensive plays. Yes, Mike Evans gets hurt. They could have gone up 14-0. I think at one point it really theoretically could have been 21-7 were it not for Marlon Humphrey's interception on their third possession and then Evans dropping that football, that pass in the end zone where they had to settle for a field goal. But the markers were there. All the evidence we needed, anyone needed really, about what we could do against their defense. First 16 plays, 9 of them went for 9 yards or more. There's the 9 that I'm referring to. And in fact, there's a 10th play there that's an 8-yard touchdown run by Lamar that would have given us a 14-10 lead, nullified by penalty. It seemed like the refs were out of control and too involved in this game at times. I thought 3 of the holds that I saw on us were legitimate on run plays. I thought 2 of them were guys who lost at the point of attack, defensive linemen, defensive ends, and then chose to fall down after what could have looked like a hold or been a slight hold, but not something that's generally called. In any case, after that hold on, I think it looks like QB down sweep, Lamar gets in the end zone from 8 yards out. The very next play, 18 yards on a screen pass to Justice Hill. Neither of these two teams tonight defended screen passes at all. Pretty insane if you ask me that almost 2/3 of your plays, 10 out of 16, 10 out of your first 16 plays go for 9 yards or more. I guess 8 yards or more if you include Lamar's touchdown that was called back for the penalty. My point in bringing that up is I didn't know halfway through the second possession that we literally could do whatever we wanted against this Bucs defense. Still really didn't know that up till almost halftime because we weren't committed to the run game. I don't know what our run pass ratio was at the half, but I know that we really went after them. We're up 17-10. Tucker's field goal after the second interception by Humphrey was first of all, it was an amazing play by Marlon Humphrey. He's playing the flats, peels back, falls back to depth. They're trying to force it to Godwin. Baker Mayfield, I thought, made 4 or 5 really poor decisions tonight on stuff like that. But in any case, it was zone. Other than that, early on, our defense stunk. At halftime, look, the Bucs have 218 yards of total offense at halftime. It's easy to look at it now and say, well, we were in control. Offensively, yes, we were. Defensively, we had none. The Bucs averaged 6.4 yards per play in the first half, 85 yards on the ground. They were grinding us out in the second quarter. I thought time of possession in the first half was pretty heavily weighted in their favor. My guess it would be maybe not 2-1, but a little less than 2-1 would be my guess, like 18-12 or 17-13, something like that. On the flip side, as critical as I am of our defense, the Bucs defense, their coverage decisions in the first half, shockingly poor. They just kept on blitzing and getting rocked by big plays. You had the 20-yard sweep to Flowers, a 60-yard catch and run by Bateman that I thought he was going to score on. Lamar slides out of the pocket against the blitz, throws downfield. He also had a huge gain to Andrews over the middle, I think 22 yards. And then on a 3rd and goal from the 30-yard line, last minute of the second quarter, the Bucs finally decide to, if you recall, the Ravens were called for 3 consecutive penalties, pushing the ball back. The Bucs finally decide to play coverage, and Lamar hits Aguilar over the middle for a 20-yard gain. It's insane at the half. We're averaging 9.3 yards per play, including 10.3 yards per pass. And at the end of the game, after the second half, both of those numbers went up if you were to take out Justice Hill's three runs at the end of the game that were pretty much inconsequential. Those 2 early sacks on the first drive was really what allowed the Bucs to get off to a great start. Otherwise, you're looking at a Ravens team that could have put up 50. If there's any Bucs fans that listen to this long, I don't mean for it to be disrespectful, but to me, the game flow shows it, and so do the stats. Yards per play, we had 22 first downs on 54 plays. Insane efficiency for this offense. Once again, we've been doing this for, at this point, 5 games in a row. The Ravens scored, I think, after falling behind 10-0, we scored on 3 drives in a row to take the lead. Lamar at the half, the Ravens at the half, 69 yards rushing. We, of course, blow it up in the second half. I think finished with 245, something like that. So many guys are involved with this offense. It's almost shocking to see the application of it. Again, I think I made this point a couple of weeks ago, and probably will be repetitive comments or behavior at times because it seems like the Ravens offense is going to do this, maybe not every week, but often. It's not just how many 10-yard plays, double-digit plays we're producing. It's how many different guys are involved when we do so. Bateman, Flowers, Aguilar. Like I said, Justice Hill with the 18-yard screen pass. Andrews, I think 2 of them tonight. Just so many guys involved that the Bucs, I don't know if they had it to do over again, what their choices would be. If you gave up that many yards per play, that many big plays, you'd say, well, we're going to bring pressure. And you open yourself up possibly for even more. That it seems to me as if this Bucs defense was a bad matchup against the Ravens. Multiple people said it in the comment section as well. I did think that the Ravens' play calling was weird throughout the first parts of the first half. Again, it reminded me of that game in 2022 where we threw the ball so much and then bludgeoned them with the run game in the second half. If you recall, it finished 27-22, but it really wasn't that close. Brady throws a touchdown to Julio Jones in the final 30 seconds. They onside kick it. We get the ball, able to take a knee, 27-22. And the run game was like switched on like a light bulb after halftime. Very similar to tonight, even though we did have 69 yards in the first half. Henry really, the 81-yarder and the 39-yarder came after halftime. This one had the same hallmarks. Just crazy to me. An early deficit, our run game turning on like a light switch, like I said. At this point, I don't know how people want to watch this team and not have difficulty managing the ups and downs. Me personally, at least, watching the offense is just pure fun. And that's why watching film the day after the games is really enjoyable, because I get to watch the offense film straight through, or unfortunately sit through the defense film straight through. Henry at this point is he's a Hall of Famer playing on a Hall of Fame track. Lamar and him in the backfield at the same time. It's really ridiculous to have this many weapons surrounding those guys. I think the offense film this week will be fun to watch again, and it'll be a chore, a fight, a job to sit through some of the defense stuff. It seems like we're always in the wrong call. And I don't know how to explain that. I don't know how, and I certainly don't know how to say to you or try to sell you that this can be fixed. Because once you've got this much evidence of you giving up a number of big plays, particularly in the pass game, I'm not sure where they go from here. I think a couple of things that the Bucs were doing tonight are interesting. Tampa Bay snapping the ball so early in the first half means to me that they may have identified our inability to get into the right look. Basically, our defense is calling plays. Mike McDonald did the same thing. Look, that's the reality. But in this case, I think when someone shows us something new, they are trying to get into a formational look that takes advantage of leverage and our own inability to adjust to it. Aikman kind of spoke in code a little bit. I think 4 times he mentioned our inability or difficulty communicating. That's not an accident for someone of Aikman's football experience to say that they have trouble communicating. To me, that was code for right now we're not a very smart team on defense. On the field, we're not smart. That's because that's what really matters. And to me, it's what we've been taught. It's the system that we've been taught to run, basically run plays. And specifically, look, now Humphrey had 2 interceptions. He played great before the injury. Who knows what his deal is. Wiggins competed, I thought. Roquan was involved in a ton of tackles. Roquan, is the point that I'm going to make about what's being taught and what they are asking of him and other guys. Roquan on a lot of those mug looks where we've got 1 or 2 inside linebackers up on the line of scrimmage. Let me ask you this. How many times do we actually blitz when those guys are up there? We're lining up there to get the offense to predetermine their protection and then use a different stunt. Last year, what Mike McDonald would do is he would bring 4 in a safer blitz, but it wasn't always the same 4. To me, what I think I see is us in our mug looks often, and Roquan dropping from the line of scrimmage. You're stressing him so much that when he does get to his drop, A, it's going to be a shorter pass drop than normal. B, you're giving him less time to react to any type of route. Are there plays where Roquan struggles in pass coverage from depth, meaning from his normal alignment? Sure, there are. There's a crap ton more where he lines up at the line of scrimmage. I think we need to be more fundamental and more base in what we're doing. And if we're going to blitz from mug looks, let's just do it. Particularly in the second quarter, there was a moment in our Discord where I said, I think we should bring pressure. They're grinding us down. We've got to get the ball back to our offense. And that might be a consideration for this staff. Being a little bit more aggressive. Yes, you're welcome to respond and say, I think we'll give up big plays. Well, we do that already, number one. Number two, we want to get the ball to our offense. We have so many weapons. I wonder if we don't search out some of these 41-35 games when we look at the film as a coaching staff, as a Ravens coaching staff, and say we think we're going to have trouble stopping the other team's offense. Because at this point, we can rely on ours. Lamar has 15 passing touchdowns on the year against 2 interceptions. After going 22 for 27 passing, he's now inched closer to 70% accuracy on the season. I think he'll be at like 68.2 if I did my math right. Again, Derrick Henry signing with us in free agency, even though he's got a home in Dallas, like they mentioned on the broadcast. I got him at 873 rushing yards for the year. So if I did my math right, 127 yards away from 1,000. And we've only played 7 football games. Truly remarkable what Lamar is putting up and doing. Not just with efficiency, not just with accuracy, touchdown to interceptions. I think 15-2. Derrick Henry simultaneously historic rushing performance. I mean, I think it's reminiscent or reminds me of what Derrick Henry did for that 2 or 3 year stretch where he was either the MVP or close to it, I should say. And at the same time that those two things are happening, we're spreading the football around to a ton of guys. It's a new day with Baltimore's offense. I think we all kind of knew that 2 or maybe 3 weeks ago. This should just further cement it for Ravens fans and for non-Ravens fans that if you're going to deal with Baltimore and try to beat them, including the playoffs, you're going to have to score 30 points. Absent turnovers, the Ravens, to me, are a 30-point football team as a floor in 2024. Turnovers and injuries would be the only 2 caveats to that for me. And it really doesn't matter to me who we play, and that includes the Chiefs, in my opinion. You guys let me know what you think of some of my thoughts. I know I was extremely negative about the defense. I'm not sure how you can watch this game and not be very negative. It was encouraging for us to get 5 stops in a row, obviously, including 4 of them, I think, after Marlon Humphrey went out. I may be wrong there with my order. But if you guys enjoyed the video, please let me know in the comment section. Liking and comment always pushes the video out to a larger audience. Fun to go down to Tampa Bay, well, virtually watching the game on a stream and get a win. Moving to 5-2 ahead of our first division game, I think, against the Browns next week. Appreciate you guys' time, man. If you think other Ravens fans would enjoy this reaction video to the Ravens' 5th win of the season, a 41-31 victory over Tampa Bay, then please consider grabbing a link to this video, sharing it out on social media to help this content get more reach.